This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
Greetings all, and thank you very much for tuning in to yet another installment of the show. I've got a conversation with Pedro Espada to share with you from the outfit Voodoo Moonshine. Now, the catalyst for the chat with Pedro is due to the launch of a new single from Voodoo Moonshine. It is titled Give It To Me. It is taken from their excellent album, Bottom of the Barrel. I had a chat with the group's guitarist, Jeff Losawyer, some months ago, so if you like what you hear here with Pedro, do go across and have a listen to the chat with Jeff as well. Now, if you tuned in via the podcast apps, we're going to listen to Give It To Me. Before going into the chat, of course, I can't play music on YouTube, so for all of those who have tuned in via YouTube, we're going to jump into the chat right now. Let's go. Do you feel like things are building with the band? I'll lead with that question there for you, because I feel like that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. We, it's been a long, 3 years now since, actually probably longer than that, 3.5 years since Jeff contacted me, Jeff Losawyer, the guitar player, to be part of this new record. And but when COVID hit, it just kind of slowed everything down. And we pretty much we started doing some shows last year, but the issues kept resurfacing, with the COVID though. So we kind of stopped doing shows. We're like, well, let's just do some video, see what happens. And it's actually looks like it's picking up. We just got Give It To Me, a single video just came out. Came out at 71 at the Billboard chart. So that's pretty exciting.
Nice. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so Give It To Me has been given the music video treatment, and in some ways is the catalyst for our catch up here. But look, making a music video, in years gone by, they spent millions of dollars, sometimes tens of millions of dollars on rock videos in the 80s and throughout the 90s. So obviously that sort of budget wasn't available to anybody these days, let's face it, but to an independent band. But was it a fun experience? I mean, I've seen the video. It's a great video. I think it captures the essence of what the band is about.
Yeah, it was, the recording videos is a long process. There's it's an all day thing, but it is, it is kind of fun because you're basically building a visual story to your song, or trying to at least, with like you said, in a low budget way. But I think it turned out well. I mean, who would have thought, a rock band in a country bar, it kind of worked. So.
Yeah. No, I agree. It definitely works. I think a lot of rock music fans are so open-minded these days that having a music video that could almost double up for a Shania Twain video in some ways. It's all part of the wheelhouse, mate, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I think it worked out. Yeah.
When I caught up with Jeff, I mentioned that Bottom of the Barrel. So for everybody listening, that is the most recently released album from the group. It's a cracker. It's so good, in fact, that I reached out to Pina and I asked her if she could send over a copy of the CD version so that I could play it in the car. So I love listening to it. I'm actually a genuine fan. Yeah. It's not one of those interviews where it's sort of like, this is just content. No, I'm actually a fan of Voodoo Moonshine sort of thing. So,
thank you.
Look, It's. I mentioned to Jeff that it's cracking metal tinged southern rock. It's an album that has its roots in great artists like Ted Nugent, Skinner, Whitesnake, Skid Row, Lynch Mob, and a heap of other no bullshit heavy and hard rock and roll with your mighty riff and your killer voice as the centerpiece. So, were you able to, I understand the album was written a few years ago, 10 years ago or thereabouts. Were you able to, with the finished product, are a lot of your ideas present?
Yeah, absolutely. When Jeff came to me and he kind of, said, hey, I have this project years past, I just kind of shelved, and he saw me singing on a YouTube video somewhere. And I listened to the song, and the only reason that I kind of accepted the offer to actually do this is he gave me the freedom to actually change the songs. And actually two or three of the songs I rewrote completely, as far as the lyrics and the melodies, just because, the music was, to me, from what I heard, the music was really good, but the song has it could have been a lot better. And that's what I did with Bring It Down and Rise Free. They were completely different song titles and song, topics. So, I think that was one of the main reasons I kind of jumped into this, because I was, change things. Even the songs I Give It To Me, which were all complete, did put my spin in there. I had to put my screams and it's the stuff that I love to do. I changed them just a little bit. Not a lot to completely change a song. But like I said, 2 of the 3 songs we basically just scratched it from started from scratch as far as the lyrics and the melodies, and redid the whole thing. So.
Yeah, killer. Yeah, your voice is one of those voices where I can't actually pick as a listener whether it's great in both instances, by the way, and I'm talking about the more ballady side of acoustic side of things, and then the full-on hard rock stuff. Your voice is one of those rare voices that works, in my opinion, equally across both. But do you share that opinion? Do you have a preference for either?
No, I love both of them. I love to sing ballads, and of course I love to really rock out and do, go up there in my range. But I like to do, we did a version of Eat It in Your Eyes, which I believe is on the CD. I think it's the last song.
Yeah.
All just acoustic version. Just acoustic guitars and I love doing that as well. So, I do, it's kind of it's like whatever you're in the mood, right? Sometimes I'm in the mood just to pick up an acoustic guitar and just kind of sing very just mellow, just pretty melody. And sometimes you just feel like going out there and screaming it out.
Well, I can see Appetite for Destruction on the wall there behind you. Is that the sort of music that you grew up listening to and inspired you to do this?
Absolutely. I grew up in the 80s. I was into, Guns N' Roses, White Skid Row. Of course, my favorite singer is Steve Perry.
Okay.
And then along with that, it's Tony Harnell from TNT. These are all big singers from back in the day. And of course, the White Snake and all that, the Steelheart. So that's the music I grew up in. But I'm a huge jazz fan. I love listening to jazz and playing jazz and the bass. And so, I listen to a lot of music. But when it's that was an interesting thing when Jeff and I kind of got together to start working on this record. He's more like a bluesy kind of guy, and I have these jazz influence in these high vocal singers type things. And when we redid some of these songs, we were like, kind of sounds pretty interesting. It sounds 80s, but it kind of still has this little new, it has their own interpretation of it, but it's rock and roll. So.
It is all just rock and roll at the end of the day, because rock and roll is like a big melting pot, isn't it? But I do quite enjoy, and I didn't think I would. Initially, it wasn't my favourite song on the album, far from it, to be honest with you, but You'll Come Back Soon. But I've grown to like it as I continue to listen to it. It's kind of got a barbershop quartet feel to it, hasn't it?
Yeah. I was the same way when I first heard that song. I was like, I don't know. I don't think we should include that song. It was very persistent. I'm like, all right, and we'll roll with that. But like you said, it's like after a little while, you're like, hey, that kind of sounds pretty cool. So.
Yeah, I think it's the one, when I say outstanding, it's the one track that doesn't sort of, it's not part of the schema of the rest of the album, but it's one of those tracks that I think all great albums have, insofar as there's something that's so far left of field that it sort of drags you out of it. And it kind of puts a bit of a sense of humor into proceedings, I think, in some ways as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, that's a part of rock and roll, having fun and just expressing yourself, no rules. Like a lot of these songs, I get it with Jeff because Jeff, were you angry when you were writing some of these songs? There's a lot of battle over the lyrics, but that's what he was going through in a lot of the songs, and it kind of works. you know. So, but yeah, that song, especially towards the end of the album, you're like, what? Where did that come from? And then, and then the little, the scenes are, they're in the campfire and all that. So it works.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, I know what you're talking about there. Yeah. So with the lyrical themes, did Jeff write the lyrics? Did he, or did you? Was it a sort of like a bit of a partnership?
Well, Jeff had most of these songs complete. I redid "Bring It Down," "Rise Free." I redid those completely. I rewrote all the lyrics and all the melodies. All the other songs he had written already. I might have changed a few words here and there just to kind of lead into the new parts that I added, as far as me going up to my higher range. Because the songs were originally, not that they were low, they were kind of like in the middle. Kind of mono. In my opinion, I kind of wanted more of a swing in the song. But for the most part, most of the songs, Jeff had already written lyrics.
Gotcha. Yeah. So just you sort of alluding to some of the more challenging aspects of life there that were addressed through the lyrics. Is that the case?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Jeff was singing about some of his challenges and that sort of thing throughout the lyrics. Is that, or not singing, is writing about some of the more challenging aspects of his own life throughout the lyrics? Is that what was going on there with the lyric writing? Yeah.
So like, like "Swallow My Pride" and some of these lyrics, that was, that's Jeff. That's what he was going through at that time when he wrote those songs. And, you really can't change that. I mean, that's the story at that point in time. So careful not to change too much of it. I might have added a few little things, but for the most part, that's how they were written.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. And what about just with bringing everything together? Were there any significant challenges that you feel that the band had to overcome in order to deliver such a cohesive and excellent sounding album?
Oh man, we kind of long time because I had to redo all this. I had to redo all the vocal parts. All the music was done. Jeff had done with other music back in he recorded these songs. So thankfully he had the tracks, so we didn't have to re-record all the music. A few parts here and there, like we redid a couple of guitar solos and that, but for the most part that was complete. So I was able to get these tracks and actually redo all the vocal tracks, which allowed me to kind of put my spin on every song. I found some musicians locally, that I played in the past with or still play, and just kind of gave them the offer, say, hey, here it is. We're doing it's a new concept, right? In this time and age, it's a rock band. It's a new rock album, and it's like it's like good old rock. We're gonna do it. It's just gonna be all original. Are you interested or not? And then listen to the songs. And anyway, long story short, we kind of switched through different members. But we finally ended up with, I think, the right guys that we have now. We got Hector on the bass, on the drums, of course Jeff on the guitar, and I. So that was interesting, and of course, like I said, then we went through the whole code, trying to book shows with that, and we were trying to film videos during that time, and everybody was freaking out and scared. So, yeah. But we did it, slowly and surely we did it. And here we are, we have a new album. We have a song, two songs actually that made it to the billboards already.
Yeah.
I had no clue that would even happen. I was just happy just to have a new record and be able to perform some shows here and there. So this has definitely gone way beyond what we thought it would do. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah. Now for you, is this the most successful band that you've been a part of, or have you already experienced success in the past?
I would say, I think I never even thought about that. I think this is, believe it or not, it's, and it's, I guess because back in the day there was so much concentration, there was so much music at one time, a lot of bands didn't get a chance, you know, and I was singing like this and stuff like this way back when. You know, there's a lot of great musicians out there that just never get a chance.
Yeah,
you know, they're just I know so many great musicians, singers, and guitarists, and they're just absolutely amazing. But you know, you got to be at the right time and know the right people. And but yeah, I think the success that Voodoo Moonshine is having now is probably, you know, as far as original music, it's probably the best that I've had.
Does the band have any new material written? Is there a new album potentially on the horizon?
Oh, absolutely. I just last night I wrote two new songs. And Jeff gave me a little riff that he came up with a couple of days ago, and I already wrote melodies. So I think we have like, let's see, 3, 4, 5. We already have 6 songs. So ready for the next album. So we haven't stopped. Sweet. You know, this album it's out there doing something, but we're working on the next.
Nice, yeah. And final question for you, Australia. Have you been down here? And I know you guys have got a following in the UK, and we're adjacent. You know, given we're a colony.
Yeah.
So are you planning on coming down here anytime soon?
Well, I mean, I don't know about planning because I don't handle any of the booking stuff. But I mean, if that's an option, you know, I'm there. You know, absolutely.
Yeah. There'd be your style of music would go down very well in some of the cities like my city, Brisbane, and Gold Coast. That full-on rock and roll thing, you know, people are embracing that again, which I'm really feeling, and I think it's just a wonderful thing.
Awesome. That's good to hear. That, you know. That's people. That's one of the great things. You know, when I hear comments on our videos, or you know, direct comments to me or to us, the band. You know, it's amazing that people are they like this music. You know, I didn't think that we were going to get the response that we're getting, because I thought, not that it was dead, but you know, I don't know. Maybe it's because I drive around listening to the radio. You know, and like I used to. I'm basically listening to my own stuff that I'm writing. I'm kind of disconnected in a way that way. So it's kind of nice to hear that listening to this type of music.
Yeah, it definitely went away there for a while. It's effectively, rock and metal is effectively underground. All of it is effectively underground now, with the exception of maybe Metallica or Guns N' Roses, like still the biggest bands, Iron Maiden, well, they never get played on radios, let's face it. It's just that the fans, us fans, are still heavily invested in it, and it's never really gone away from the fans' perspective. But it went with not a lot of commercial outlets available to the musicians, and I'm a musician too, with the shit behind me. Yeah. They're just, you know, you could play a few gigs and you get paid $150 or $200. It certainly isn't enough to make a living. So it's purely a passion project, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you know, that's why I've had a cover band here for 15 years, and it basically keeps my vocals in shape. You know, to sing 4 hours a night, in the weekends, of course, because I got to work. You know. So, you know, like you say, you really can't make a living out of it, but I can't stop either. You know, I have to keep doing this just because that's what I do. You know, I'm a musician. I write songs all the time, and it's great that I get to still make records, you know, and perform music to people. And so at least I have, even though MTV and all that stuff's not around anymore.
Yeah. Hey, what's the name of your covers outfit?
My local cover band that I have here, it's called Rocket Fly.
Okay, I'll check
it out. We play all 80s rock. You know, all the stuff that you see in my wall, you know, Guns N' Roses, Journey, you know, all that stuff, all the 80s rock.
I wish I could see it. Yeah, I play covers too. We sort of cover everything from the 60s up until now, you know, the modern rocks, well, not rock stuff, but Justin Timberlake and all that stuff. Just because you've got to. I mean, it's not just a preference, you know, you just got to play it.
Yeah. If you want to be, so you're kind of like a top 40 mix, right? You go, yeah. So we're like an 80s cover band. We do only 80s. But, you know, I've been doing that for 15 years. I guess, I mean, people are still coming out, so why not? Why stop, right? And it pays, it pays me a little, which I can take that money back into original music. I mean, that's all we can do as musicians. So.
No, I agree. It's all we've got left, mate, is the live performance in a lot of ways, But I mean, the fact that you're making a dent on Billboard, I think, is very important. People are noticing the great work that you're doing, and it might not translate into the wealth of millions a la Motley Crue and all those sort of bloody bands back in the day. But I think Stephen Hawking said something. You're no doubt aware of Stephen Hawking. He said something very important. He talked about life, it not making a lot of sense. I mean, God knows his predicament, stuck in the wheelchair and all the rest of it, but he just talked about you've just got to keep doing you. You just got to keep being you, because that's the important thing. So whoever you are, just be you, because that's important. You've got to keep trying.
Yeah, you just got to keep doing. If it makes you happy and it gets you excited, just keep doing it. Why stop? There's no reason. So yeah, I'm very blessed that, Voodoo Moonshine now is in the billboards, which I had never in a million years would dream that would happen. So we're very grateful. We're all very grateful that we have a good team. Pina is amazing. She does everything. If it wasn't for her, we probably would not be where we're at right now, just because she's, like you said, she just pushes on and gets us out there. Us musicians, we just want to write and perform, But then you have this whole business side and this whole advertisers. There's a lot of things that need to go on, and so we have a team that kind of handles everything. So it's working out very, very good.
Yeah, it's kind of like that saying: behind every great band, there's a great woman.
Absolutely, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, no, she's lovely. I've dealt with her over email. So, no, that's cool, mate. Look, I'll let you go. Thanks so much for the conversation. I've enjoyed it a lot. Congratulations on the success and just for crafting the music that you have there, mate. I look forward to many more releases bearing your excellent signature vocal.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Having me.
No worries, brother. All the best with everything.
Right.
Thanks again.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Thanks a lot to Pedro for that conversation there. Great vocalist, I've got to say. And also thanks to him for battling through very shitty internet connectivity. Gosh, we were really up against it. The call actually dropped out a couple of times. I've done a very slight edit, so hopefully you don't notice it too much, but it's a high quality conversation, and that's what this show is all about. Now, if you like that chat, there are many more just like it over at scarsandguitars.com, and if you like listening to the show, maybe you want to read about it in my book, Scars and Guitars Volume 1, Conversations from the World of Hard Rock, Heavy Metal and Beyond. Click on the link in the banner on the website, you'll be taken to a marketplace of your choice, and you can download a sample, and if you do complete the purchase, please let me know, because I want to thank you personally. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I'm the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast series. Here's some more information about the book. See you next time.
This is Eric Rattan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew Mackay-Smith.
I've been the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast since 2017. The first musician I interviewed for the show was David Vincent from Morbid Angel, and things have just snowballed from there. In all, I've posted almost 650 podcast episodes featuring conversations with many of the leading lights of rock, heavy metal, and beyond. It just got to a point where I thought, I need to write a book about all this, so that's exactly what I did. In Scars and Guitars Volume 1, you'll read a heap of deep reveals and commentary, such as Des Fafara talking about Cold Chamber and why the band will never return.
If you're a band just starting out, you need to hear me. Do not start a band with partners. Ever.
Yeah, wise words there. Sage advice, mate, for anybody.
Don't ever, because I can't go do Cold Chamber right now unless I get others involved.
Phil Anselmo talks about the episode in his career which gives him the greatest sense of accomplishment.
I think the staying power of the fans and the staying power of the songs, whether it's Pantera, Down, or Superjoint, the fans remember the songs.
Alex Skolnick from Testament confirms that, yes, playing the guitar in Ozzy's band is anything but an ordinary gig. Will Silent Oz from Dimmu Borgir write a book? Pa from Sabaton gives advice to people who want to start a band.
Look at the team around you, look at the bandmates. If the guys want to be on the stage, then it's all cool. If the guys want to be backstage, then it's not going to be cool.
Current and former members of Cradle of Filth discuss the band's seminal 90s material. Read about the reaction to George Lynch and Mark from Suicide Silence's comments when they throw shade at then President Donald Trump.
We have this idiotic monster, this egotistical, self-aggrandizing, complete piece of shit in there. I just can't understand how we've gotten to this place.
And yeah, we kicked a hornet's nest with Sepultura. Percussive overlord Gene Hoglan talks about recording with Chuck Schuldiner.
Chuck was always, he was very open-minded, and he was into having his musicians that were playing with him just reach out for the best stuff that they had.
Phil Campbell from Motorhead discusses what it takes to get sober. John Five answers his critics who dismiss his tenure with Marilyn Manson.
My name is John Five, and Manson gave me that name, and I had some of the best years of my life in that band and learned a lot.
And we get the lowdown on Treyarch Zagtoth from those who would know, including his mother. All across Scars and Guitars Volume 1, there are moments of tension, relief, tragedy, exhilaration, and throughout it all, you'll obtain insight that I believe no one else has managed to obtain from many of your favourite artists. So treat yourself. Scars and Guitars Volume 1 is currently available as an ebook with a print edition on the horizon. Follow the links attached and download a sample. I'm sure you'll be compelled to read the whole book.